Hey, what's up, YouTube? Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about caffeine and theanine together. So here's I get mine from Powder City. Highly recommend them. This particular product is the caffeine and theanine in the optimal ratio, all in one capsule, and so. Let's just get down to it. You probably know what caffeine is, and you're a little less likely to know what theanine is. Theanine is an amino acid, but it's not an amino acid. There's more than 21 amino acids. There's only like 21 that are used to make proteins. But there's other amino acids. Chemically, what makes an amino acid, there's more things in that, and theanine is one of those. So it's not used to make proteins, but chemically it's an amino acid, and it's psychoactive. And theanine is found in some fungus, like mushrooms, and it's found in plants such as tea. In fact, caffeine and theanine are both found in tea, but they're not in the correct ratio. The correct ratio being about 2-to-1 theanine to caffeine ratio. This particular product has 200 milligrams of theanine to 100 milligrams of caffeine. So the ratio is what's used in, I think, pretty much all the studies that have shown the effectiveness of this duo. So taking caffeine and theanine together, it's kind of a special thing. I look at it as sort of like, it's such a classic combination. I look at it as like a drug or a supplement unto itself. So that's why I'm talking about it right now by itself. And in later videos, I might address theanine and caffeine separate. But so theanine, I am gonna mention a little bit about theanine some more though. Let's roll up our sleeves and get into the chemistry a little bit. Let me show you. So here's here's theanine, and here's glutamate, a neurotransmitter. Probably heard of glutamate. Is the most it's the most common excitatory neurotransmitter in the body, in the brain. Here's glutamate, and here's theanine, and I draw them in an orientation side by side to show you that, to show you how similar they are. And why am I doing this? Because they're actually similar enough that theanine works on a lot of glutamate's receptors, and these are the three main types of glutamate receptors that theanine acts on. It is an agonist for NMDA glutamate receptors, and it is an antagonist for the AMPA and the kainate receptors. So here is that. You can pause that, look at that if you want to. That's a little intro to quick crash course into the chemistry of theanine, the pharmacology of it, but also it works on more than just glutamate. It also works on dopamine, maybe serotonin. It's kind of controversial right now. GABA, and also those brain BDNF and NGF. They're like nerve growth factors. So it affects those neurotransmitter systems as well. I just wanted to show you this particular one because it's really the structural similarities to glutamate are pretty obvious, and it is important. Those are important receptors. You'll see AMPA and NMDA receptors all over the place. They're important for long-term potentiation. I don't know exactly what theanine does for that, but anyway, for this combo, what does it do? Why are they found together? Well, there's actually two different reasons why they're found together. One is that theanine really takes off the bad side effects of caffeine. It smooths it out. So it takes away the jitters, and it takes away the anxiety that caffeine can often produce. So it's smooth, you know, it's not real intrusive, it's subtle. Some people might like that fucking punch in the face, but I think, you know, for the one thing is it just makes them feel like it's working. And the thing is, sometimes things are pretty effective and they're not gonna give you a punch in the face. And this combo is one of those things. So yeah, theanine is something that will smooth out the caffeine. That's one reason why you take them both together. The other reason is they have synergistic effects. The benefits that you get from theanine and caffeine are greater than the additive effects of the two. It's not just adding. So, in particular, what it does, it's good for attention. It's good for multitasking, and it's good for numerical working memory. They're, you know, three of the big things that it's good for. And I think that honestly, the like how do I use it? I use it for I work in food service, so there's a lot of multitasking that's expected in the food service sometimes. Well, I don't even know why I bring up food service. It's, you know, at this day and age, a lot of jobs require multitasking. But multitasking is not really good for the brain. So I suggest that if you're put into that position, because I know it's not always easy to avoid things, bust out some theanine caffeine, and it'll help you. That's what supplements are for. I'd like to emphasize again that I recommend lifestyle changes first and foremost, but supplements come in handy for situations where you got to deal with things anyway that you're trying to avoid. For example, like multitasking. So that's how I use it. I also use it in sort of like a caffeine rotation, somewhat like randomly or how I feel. I would change up different sources of caffeine. As much as I love caffeine, I consume it most days. It you obviously, you know, we all know you build up a tolerance to it pretty fast. So I like to rotate my caffeine sources. I feel that it introduces some, it keeps things novel enough. It's better than just drinking or, you know, consuming caffeine in the same exact way every day. It changes things up enough that it helps me deal with tolerance to some extent. And so this is another way to get caffeine. I mainly, you know, I switch between coffee, tea, and these. I used to drink energy drinks. I'm trying to avoid sugar, so I don't get into those anymore. And I guess there's sugarless ones, but I think they kind of taste nasty, and I'm not real into them. But anyway, so that's how I use it. I use it if I think I'm going to be multitasking, or if or I just use it as part of my caffeine rotation. But it's a good general purpose nootropic. I do, you know, along with, you know, I'm just going to follow suit with the general, you know, the bigger nootropics community and recommend it as a good starting off point for nootropics. It's a good general nootropic. I mean, if you just get attentional benefits from it, you know, if nothing else, the attention is pretty much always a good thing, right? So, I mean, it's the type of thing that you could take for a more menial job. It's good that you could take, you know, for studying something like quantum mechanics. It's just good for. Oh, and I should mention though, the synergy is not gonna last real long. I think theanine only lasts like an hour, up to maybe 2 hours at the most. Where the half-life of caffeine is like 5 hours. So. You know, it's cool, but it's certainly worth taking, and I do certainly recommend it at the starting off point. And you know, you can go a lot of directions with it, like I said, but that's how I use it, and that's some of the basics. So quick video, caffeine theanine, check it out. You don't have to buy it this way. I mean, I like it because it's convenient, but you can get caffeine, you can get theanine separately too, so you want to do it that way. Buying in bulk, and when you're dealing with powders, buying in bulk is usually cheaper, so if you want to do it that way and measure out the ratios yourself, I mean, that's cool too. These are pretty cheap anyway, so I'll spring for convenience for something like this. So, yeah, check it out. Definitely, if you're a beginner, this is what I recommend. So, caffeine theanine.